All right, perfect. Well, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, no matter where you are in the world. Thank you so much for being here with us today for this latest Guesty virtual meetup, Mastering Your Short-Term Rental Financial Management. Just as a quick introduction, my name is Andy. I'm the Director of Customer Success for the EMEA region at Guesty, based out of London in the UK. I'm very excited to be here and lead this event today. Joining me, it's my pleasure to introduce you all to a couple of our guests today. I'd love everyone to give a warm welcome to Nathan, founder and CEO at Thuro Accounting, and Mike, CEO of Mike's Rentals. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today. Looking forward to your presentations. And on that note, just to give everyone who's joined a quick idea of how things will run today, here's a quick glimpse of the agenda. I'm going to kick off with a quick introduction and then share some insights about Guesty's financial toolset. Then I'll pass the mic over to Nathan, who's going to walk us through building some strong financial foundations with your business. And then we'll bring Mike on to share a presentation on his financial strategies for growth and long-term success. Following this, we'll move on to our Q&A session, where we'll open up the floor to you guys, the audience, as well as some pre-submitted questions from you guys. And like I mentioned in the first slide, don't forget to keep asking your questions in the Q&A section. Before we dive into today's topic, I wanted to take a quick minute or two to introduce Guesty to those of you on this webinar who are not yet familiar with what we do. At Guesty, we're providing short-term rental hosts and property management companies the most comprehensive and streamlined set of tools that you need to operate seamlessly, bring in more bookings, create optimal guest experiences, and ultimately grow your business. So whether you're just getting started with a couple of listings or you're a fully fledged full-time professional property management company looking to scale, Guesty offers a solution that's suited to your business and its needs, both now and then into the future as well. All right, on to the topic at hand. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Guesty's robust set of financial features. Guesty's finance and accounting tools stand out in that they offer an industry-specific, state-of-the-art tech that is fully streamlined and integrated into the software that runs your business. This enables you to manage your finances with optimal efficiency in a way that best aligns with your overall business goals. At Guesty, we've developed our financial tools in-house because we saw that it would be the most accurate solution for our users, eliminating risk of errors due to human mistakes or translation issues that always arise with labeling, formatting differences inherent when transferring data from one place to another. Guesty's accounting solution keeps you operating on one platform, providing one source of truth for your complete business finances. This, of course, includes the financial accounting for your business, which gives you the overall picture of your business's bank account, but also the crucial ability to manage trust accounting, something that I think these guys will touch on, which accounts for the breakdown of essentially who owns the money, you, your owners, third parties, which is obviously a factor that's relatively unique to our industry and essential for running a property management business. Guesty's in-platform accounting solution gives you a full view of all your finances, and it streamlines financials, helps strengthen your relationship with your owners, and offers the accounting tools that you need right within your actual PMS. Its modern and intuitive user interface allows you to navigate with ease throughout a thoughtfully designed interface that we've tailored using our existing customers on the tool, tailored to industry needs to simplify the complex world of accounting. Our advanced accounting features, everything that a short-term rental manager will need to manage your finances in one central place. On screen, we have just a few of the features that we've developed recently and embedded within the accounting tool itself, fully based on our users' feedback and needs to ensure that they have the optimal functionality to run their business. Just a couple of examples of recent ones include the ability to reconcile your bank account with Guesty and also fractional ownership if you have multi-owner listings. Very tricky part of this. From accounting to payments. So Guesty Pay is Guesty's embedded payment processing solution, and this incorporates yet another essential financial tool right into your PMS. The advantage of Guesty Pay is not only that it's integrated into Guesty's software and financial package in the accounting side, but it's also designed to be very industry specific. While other payment processing tools like Stripe are not geared towards one industry, like short-term rental, Guesty and Guesty Pay is built on a true industry understanding, and this is crucial when it comes to dealing with issues around fraud, chargebacks, and so on. Guesty Pay was developed, like I mentioned, for the short-term rental industry. And with it, you can ensure seamless payment processing without needing to deal with another third-party provider or a third-party integration, another API. Guesty Pay gives you peace of mind that your transactions are both timely, secure, verified, and of course, backed by our in-house dedicated payment operations team that will be monitoring and flagging threats to you to ensure that your business is as risk-free as it can be. Also, beyond the tech, there's real humans. You have contact points for Guesty Pay, people that you can consult with who also understand the core of your business. In terms of where we support Guesty Pay today, as of today, we're in the US, Canada, across Europe, and the UK. But if you happen to reside or operate outside of these regions, keep an eye out on our releases. We're always looking at expanding the Guesty Pay offering as well. All right, a couple more slides for me. We have our Guesty card. Now, the Guesty card allows you to enjoy greater financial flexibility with custom credit lines, secure fast credit based on your Guesty metrics, real-time expense tracking, and simplified employee access, all within one place. Control your spending on company cards with custom parameters, advanced insights on expense patterns, basically to optimize your resource allocation and support your overall efforts towards cost reduction. And last but not least, we have our Guesty Pay Protect. So Guesty Pay Protect leverages machine learning driven data from Guesty's advanced algorithms to detect sophisticated fraud attempts in real time. Integrated again into Guesty's payment processes and financial package, it allows for automated protection for every booking, even if it comes from a channel OTA or your own direct website. So this is allowing you to expand your business, knowing that your revenue is safeguarded at every stage of your scaling, so that you can hopefully pay a little bit less attention on monitoring and worrying about risk and a little bit more towards growth, which is the aim here. So thank you for your participation so far and for answering the poll. So it's my pleasure now to pass the mic, virtual mic, over to Nathan. Nathan, all yours. I'll stop sharing.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate the introduction. Nice to be here, you guys. I'm here to kind of just introduce myself a little bit, kind of go through trust accounting, what we believe trust accounting to be, and then go through some best practices, just kind of share with you guys that we've seen over the kind of 10 to 12 years that we've been in this industry. So give me 1 second while I pull up that slide. Okay. Perfect. So kind of like I said, I'll just do a quick introduction to myself and then also Thuro Accounting. Then we'll go through what trust accounting is, kind of a wonderful description of it. It can be somewhat complicated and it's very different than accounting in other industries. And then, like I said, we'll go through kind of some STR bookkeeping best practices. So first, like Andy said, I'm Nate Nienhuis. I started Thuro Accounting about 6 years ago. Before starting Thuro Accounting, I was a head accountant for a large vacation rental company in the Santa Barbara area. Right out of college, jumped into this industry, got to learn the ins and outs of it, learned multiple softwares, and essentially the best practices. Long story short, worked 7 years for that company until the software that company used reached out and said, "Hey, a lot of people need help with this. Can you help?" I said, "Sure, let's do it," and converted my at the time boss to a client, and then started Thuro. So, like I said, we're kind of 5 or 6 years into this wonderful journey in this fun industry. And we currently are servicing about 135 property managers. We only work with the vacation rental space. So it's something that we really get to specialize and hone in on. Our smallest client has 5 units. Our largest client has 700 units. So we really kind of see ourselves as kind of being able to be your in-house kind of bookkeeping department. Or if you guys currently have someone that you really enjoy, then we can kind of come alongside you guys, take on certain high-level tasks, kind of delegate certain things to your in-house people, just to again ensure that your guys' accounting flow and your financials are kind of as accurate as possible. So with that being said, let's just kind of look at what trust accounting is. I know that we're kind of all over the place right now, right? Whether it's in the United States or other parts of the world. But I do know that in the United States, it's a little more strict, and trust accounting is, I would say, required, or should be highly considered. What is trust accounting? Trust accounting is essentially financial management or record keeping of held funds by one party for another party. So again, that's just you guys, right? You guys are collecting money from guests for future stays. That money needs to be held, it needs to be accounted for, because it cannot and should not be paid to homeowners, vendors, things of that nature until the guest has kind of come and stayed. So that's kind of where the segregation of funds kind of happens, right? We're looking for you guys to kind of have two bank accounts. One is that trust account where that money kind of sits, and you kind of do the financial transactions through your property management software through that trust account. And then you kind of have your own company bank account where we kind of separate those. Yeah, just segregation of funds. Other one's going to be accountability. Again, this is just the idea that you are responsible for the money that is given to you ahead of time. So you need to kind of have accurate reporting. You need to know kind of all the transactions that have come in, and that includes deposits, right? Kind of withdrawals that have happened, just to ensure that if something were to happen, and I'll reference COVID, that you guys have a clear reporting to know exactly what money needs to be in that account, so that if, again, let's just say another pandemic happens and all these refunds happen, you guys have the money in that bank account to kind of refund it. That was probably the craziest moment that I have seen in the last 12 years, of the idea of everyone being refunded. And we did have clients who did not practice perfect trust accounting, and they got in trouble, right? Or they had to come up with those funds somehow to refund the money to the guests because so many people canceled reservations. And then the last little part is just compliance and audits. At least here in the States, where most of our clients are, there are certain states that are very, very strict, to the point where if you are a penny over or penny under, then you are like you could lose your license. And then there's other states that are a little less, less strict on it. But again, we believe it is best practice. So like Andy showed, their platform is designed to pass North Carolina's strict audits. That is the strictest state that we have here. So the idea that there's a software that with reporting and accountability, right, can help pass those audits, that is really what you guys are kind of looking for. So whether you're on Guesty, you're looking at Guesty, or you're on another platform, we highly recommend utilizing trust accounting and then ensuring that your software has the capability to give you those reports when or if that audit ever happens. So that's kind of just a quick overview on the trust accounting process. Now we're going to jump into kind of just the STR bookkeeping best practices that we have seen over the last couple of years, or over the last 10 years, that has really helped our clients to level up. Again, this is just reiterating what I said before. I feel like this is very basic, but you'd be shocked at how many people are using one bank account. Even having a powerful platform or property management software like a Guesty that might be able to handle it, we do want that separation of funds. So again, that trust account is where all of the future guest funds are going. That is where you are kind of managing the financials for your owners. And you can pay cleaners out of it, you can pay your owners out of it, you can pay your taxes out of it. But we really want to separate that from kind of your company financials. So your operational and your trust should be completely separate. Jumping into it too is just the power of the accounting softwares. There's a lot out there, right? There's a lot of property management softwares out there. The biggest ones, right? The Guesties, the Streamlines, the Tracks, the Live Reses, those all have built-in accounting platforms. So that is awesome, right? That we recommend is being utilized, right? So if you don't have Guesty accounting turned on, we recommend that you do. Guesty accounting has really developed a lot over the last probably 12 to 16 months. It is getting better and better and more powerful. So the idea of using an internal accounting software, obviously we highly recommend. That includes making sure it's set up correctly, and then you're doing the correct daily, weekly, monthly kind of tasks to keep it accurate. If there are softwares out there that don't have the accounting platforms or the accounting built-in software that you need. So there are third-party accounting softwares out there that do directly integrate with some of these other property management softwares that will pull the data, and then you'll have like just a separate software that does the accounting. So in this case, and I believe Guesty is integrated with them, but like Get Clearing is a software that we do see a lot of clients on. Some are on Guesty, but a lot of them are actually on the smaller softwares that just don't have that accounting functionality. And again, they just kind of pull that data and then you reconcile, do owner statements and stuff through that platform. But again, if your software does it, like a Guesty, utilize it. Then what I'm going to say too is use QuickBooks or something like QuickBooks. That is just, again, another good financial software for your company financials that need to be tracked. Most property management softwares do not or should not allow your company financials to be kind of integrated with it. So we still have to, right, reconcile your operating accounts, your company credit cards, and then we really want some good P&Ls, balance sheets, right? Whatever financial reports you need to run your business should be generated through QuickBooks. So we have seen people, or we see it often, where people try to have the trust account in QuickBooks. You're essentially then duplicating everything that you're doing inside of Guesty, for example, inside of QuickBooks. So one, it's time consuming. Two, it really doesn't need to happen. And then three, it can kind of inflate your income on your P&L because if you miscategorize things, or again, it's showing things on your balance sheet that probably shouldn't be there. So the idea that the trust account really technically isn't your money until the guest has come and stayed. So throwing that trust account into a QuickBooks and then recording it as income or as an asset or a liability doesn't really need to happen. That's again where like the Guesty reporting can come in. If you ever needed to figure out what should be in your trust account or what is my liability, that's where Guesty reporting would come in. So again, just full separation. QuickBooks will be really clean if it's just your operational and your company credit cards, because a lot less transactions, and then it's kind of your net income versus the gross income if you were to bring in your trust account. The next big one, and this is for me huge, is property owner expense management, right? That's the idea of you guys purchasing things for your property owners. I can't tell you how often we see our clients purchase something or their employees purchase something and the receipt gets lost and then it was never posted to the owner account. Or if you're behind on your QuickBooks and you go to categorize those transactions, well, it could be if you're 6 weeks behind, now suddenly a lot of people won't charge their owners, you know, a month, 2 months, 3 months behind. So the biggest thing that we have seen that can impact your profitability is the owner expense management. So we believe that you got to have an internal process, or again, you have to use third-party softwares to kind of help with that. an example of an internal process that some of our clients enjoy is, you just literally, we will pull the transactions on a Google spreadsheet. We'll send it over to someone on our client's team. They'll fill out what it's for, send it back. Then we kind of are able to go into QuickBooks and categorize it. And then if there's an owner charge, then we post it against the owners. What's been nice is that's just, I guess, one example of an internal process. There could be a lot more, or you could tweak that a little bit to kind of accommodate your team the best. But what we're seeing more and more now, and what I love personally, is the third-party softwares. So there's the ramps out there, right? There's like Bill.com has one. We got Top Keys. We got Accountables. Now we have Expensify. There are now softwares out there that kind of will allow your employees, when they purchase something, to categorize what it is. Then that kind of integrates with your QuickBooks, auto categorizes it, allows you to reconcile faster, things of that nature. But over the last year, there's now two softwares that I'm aware of that directly now not only integrate with your QuickBooks to streamline that process, but they also integrate with your property management software. And so again, those would be the Accountables and the Top Keys. So we see a lot of our clients now using Top Keys specifically. The idea is when someone on your team purchases something, they get a text message that says, hey, you need to categorize it. They say company charge or owner charge. If they say owner charge, it prompts them to choose what property it's for. And then there is an online site where your bookkeeper, accountant, you as the owner could go and you confirm that everything is looking good, and then it syncs to Guesty, for example, and will auto charge it in Guesty, and then it auto pushes it to QuickBooks to categorize it. So super cool features that kind of enables you to make sure that everything is accounted for, and that if it is an owner charge, it's being posted to the owner statements in a timely manner. So pretty cool things kind of going on there. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is just kind of the tax and fee optimization. My mentor slash old boss had this philosophy that in this industry, there's no cost of doing business, which I think is really cool and is super unique to our industry. And essentially what we mean by that is, you can charge a processing fee to cover your credit card fees, right? You can charge a booking fee to kind of maybe help offset the cost of your reservation team. A lot of our clients will have a margin on their maintenance to help cover the cost of the guy who's delegating the work out to your maintenance teams. Now, every third-party software, whether it's Airbnb, VRBO, right? A lot of these revenue management softwares, they all want a piece of your pie. So now we can, or with Guesty or other softwares, you can now essentially have that fee get baked into the rent so that you're not covering that cost. So the idea of the taxes and fee optimization is almost getting to a point where like you understand what your costs are, and then you try to figure out how can I have either one, the owner pay for it, or two, the guest pay for it. And then if you can kind of get to a point like that, then at the end of the month, all your fees are essentially covering your costs, and then your management commission would be just straight income for you guys. So obviously each state, country, right, is different. Your market better than anyone. So sometimes you can't necessarily maybe get away with, charging certain fees, but then let's try to get creative in a different way to kind of help offset that cost. So that's kind of what we see, and we help a lot of our clients do is, look at their financial statement, kind of see where are you losing money, and then how can we offset that, right? How can we either usually default to having the guest pay for it, but if we feel like we've hit a level of taxes and fees where it might affect your bookings, then sometimes we can kind of push that over to the homeowner, whether that's showing it on the owner statement, or sometimes you can kind of hide it on the owner statements where it just comes out of the rent. So, but really, again, I think between the property management expense and making sure that you're really capturing all of those costs or recouping those charges and essentially eliminating any leakage that you guys have, that will greatly affect your profitability. And then again, from a tax and fee standpoint, if you can really optimize those and ensure that your fees are covering as much of your costs as possible, That's really where we kind of see that profitability start increasing for our clients. And then what I'll say with that too is you need good financials, right? You need a good P&L in your QuickBooks. You need to analyze those on a monthly basis because you can have your fees set up, but if you don't have a financial statement that shows, hey, I'm losing money in cleanings, then you can't make that decision or make that adjustment to your fees, or look at a different cleaning vendor or things of that nature without those financial kind of good financial statements that are accurate and given to you in a timely manner. So those are kind of the four top kind of best practices or things that we've learned over the last couple of years. Again, just really utilize your software. You're paying for it, so let's make sure you're utilizing it, cover your costs, and then set up your taxes and fees to kind of, again, cover your kind of operational costs.
I think that last point's really important. I think it like getting started on managing these things and actually turning your attention to enabling these software tools is quite daunting. So I think once you make the start and get it sorted sooner rather than later, there's definitely going to be benefits there. So yeah,
Yep.
thanks, Nathan. Just before I move on, I'm seeing a lot of very quite technical questions and quite geo-specific questions popping into the Q&A. If we can't get to those today, or if Nathan and the rest of us can't get to those live today, both in the Q&A box or out loud, we will do our utmost to follow up offline after this webinar, just so that you know. So keep on asking your questions, for sure. Just to briefly share my screen again. Just want to introduce Mike. So Mike, I will pass the mic to you, and looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Thanks, Mike.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. So first, before I start, while I pull my presentation up, I just want to thank Nate for a great presentation. I see a lot of parallels in my thought process and how we run our business as well, so I can really appreciate that. And I also wrote down top keys because I think it's probably a better solution than what we're using. So thank you. We have a similar setup for company credit cards, where they get a text, they take a photo of the receipt, but then there's a manual process after that. It sounds like Top Keys is a little more integrated and probably will take some of that manual process out. So that's awesome. All right, let's do a share. Well, thank you so much. You know, I think about financial strategy for short-term rentals, right? It's such a broad topic, and I think it touches everything we do. Interactions with owners, with guests, with employees, with vendors, strategic partners. It's in the pricing for our properties. It's part of running our company. There's so much that goes into it. So I pointed out a few things here that come to the top of my mind when I think about financial strategy. First, to introduce myself, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Mike C Rentals. We were established 2016. I believe we started with Guesty in 2017, late 2017. So we've been with Guesty for a very long time, seen a lot of growth in the software and been a part of that. We're based here in Southwest Florida. We're just expanded this year into Michigan, and talking about financial strategy, that's part of our financial strategy, because we're very seasonal here. Our winters are very busy, but summers can be quite slow. So Michigan has that opposite season as us to bring some more stability annually to our business, and that's part of our overall strategy. Currently 167 listings under management. We're a third-party manager, so we don't own or do lease arbitrage. These are all independently owned properties that we manage for individual owners. And we're currently at a team of 20, and that includes our cleaning staff. So we have in-house cleaning, maintenance, and inspections. All right. So it's funny, I'm going to piggyback right off of the end of Nathan's presentation with bookkeeping. I start there because I think it's such a foundational, important thing to have right. And you want your books to be accurate. You want them to be detailed. You want to have a really good chart of accounts so that you can take a quick glance at your P&L and understand your business. Just like Nathan said, it's hard to make financial decisions if you don't see the clear financial health of your business, and up to date. And the reason I put up to date, and maybe some of you out there can relate to this, when we were a smaller company, bookkeeping was never my favorite thing to do. And so inevitably, I was growing the company. I had to wait till the end of the year. And I'd only do it because I needed a P&L to give to the accountant to file taxes. So at the end of the year, I would print out the bank statements and take a weekend and just record every transaction, which is not a great way to do it, but it got done. But that did catch up to me. We had some pretty explosive growth years, and one year I remember sitting down to print out the bank statements and could not believe how many pages it was and how many thousands of transactions there were. And we were coming into the busy season, and the busiest season we've ever seen. And it was just this daunting, mountainous task to try to accomplish, and it set me back pretty far. So I don't recommend doing that. I would get ahead of it now. Just get in the regular cadence of doing your QuickBooks, and we use Guesty accounting for trust accounting, and we use QuickBooks for operational accounting. We have two separate bank accounts, so we did something right. But that's something I would definitely recommend, whether you're a new business or been in the business a long time and just haven't done it yet. Get really detailed chart of accounts, set it up, because you're going to want it eventually anyways. If you ever plan on selling the company, you'll devalue your company if you don't have really good QuickBooks setup and bookkeeping. All right. Okay, so going through financial strategies, we see a lot of tools in this industry, right? A lot of AI, a lot of automation, guidebooks, you name it. There's always different things we're evaluating as a company. Is this something we should add? And again, as an overall strategy, there's two ways I look at expenses, I look at income. So expenses are the things we can control, and spending, we get to make those decisions. So I always do a cost benefit analysis on any new system or tool. What is the cost of adding this? And what is the benefit? Does the benefit outweigh? Is this something we need to have? Is it replacing something we already have, but it does a better job? Maybe it costs less or costs more. We really hold all of our dollars accountable. We look to see, is this expense going to bring back a benefit? Can I justify it? And also, furthermore, and to really mimic exactly what Nate was saying, how does it get paid for? And that is a big topic of discussion here in our company. Is this a cost we can pass to the guest? Is it an owner cost, or is it something that we pay for? And it's kind of in that order: guest, owner, us, because that's usually how those costs fall. It's usually the guest, sometimes the owner, very rarely us. And you're probably already doing it in your company. If you charge the guest a cleaning fee, and you use that money to have the property cleaned, you're already doing that. You've passed the cleaning expense to the guest. If you're using channel markups for Airbnb and Vrbo, you're passing the cost of the channel to the guest. You're already doing that. So it's possible to do with other items as well. So just as an example, we have an annual technology fee that we charge all of our owners. It's a recurring fee once a year. And it just gives us a budget to add those different systems and tools that we deem necessary to help perform better. And the value is there, because if we see it as a necessary tool that's going to provide extra revenue or extra reservations for the owners, then we can easily justify spending that annual technology fee budget for those items. So I think that's a really good point. And then going to the income side of things, right? That's the expenses, and you should always do housekeeping on your expenses. Should always kind of look back. We do about annually at least. We look back at what we're spending on to see if any of those softwares can be replaced with something better, less expensive, or just maybe aren't even necessary anymore. Which is what I'm going to do with top keys. We're going to take a look at that. And then on the other side of things, once you're done with that, you want to place, I would say, more of your attention on the income side, because you can have a much greater impact there. Usually it's kind of marginal on the other side. The first thing, if you're not using one already, pricing tool. That's the golden rule. And what we do, if you're not using a pricing tool, you definitely need to. You're leaving money on the table. A big discussion we have in our office all the time, and it's been the past couple of years, our big focus is how do we get more out of the properties that we have versus growing with more. Now, we want to grow with more properties, but how do we get more out of the properties we have? Because if I told you that I'm going to give you 25% more properties, you're probably going to have some added expenses with that. You may have additional staff, you may have to change softwares, there's going to be some implication, and there's definitely going to be some operational stress added when you add more properties. But if you can do 25% more income with the properties you already have, well, now you're increasing just the income, and you've not put any operational stress, you're not going to spend any additional money. So that's always a really good place to focus, is how do I get more out of the properties I have now? Pricing tool is one of those things that will definitely help you get more reservations, better rates out of the ones you already have. The second thing is upsells. If you are not charging for early check-ins and late checkouts, start doing it. It's something we hesitated to do for years. We talked about, and then we decided, I think it's time. Let's do upsells. We had a good avenue to do it, so we started doing it. It's been almost a year. We've had almost $20,000 in revenue generated just from early check-ins, late checkouts, and it's caused zero additional operational strain whatsoever. We were already doing it. We were already offering early check-in, late checkout. We just weren't charging for it, right? So that's an instant increase in income without any expense increase, without any need to make any changes. Another for income strategy, in-house cleaning. Another thing we waited too long to do. We thought we had to get, probably around 100 properties or more to be able to, for that to make sense, to bring in-house. And then within a month of doing it, I immediately thought, why didn't I do this when we were half this size? This is way better. In addition to the financial part of it, it's just there's a whole nother topic of discussion to talk about with gaining control over your cleaning and the things that you can do and improve on in doing that. We're now something where we were charging the guest a cleaning fee, and that money was basically just changing hands to a third-party cleaner. There was no profit there. Now, there's a profit because it costs us a lot less to get that clean done. There's a profit in there. And with that money, going back to the slide before about adding things and where it gets paid from, because we brought cleaning in-house, now we were responsible for guest supplies, the welcome basket when they get there. We were able to, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Sojo, we went with a company that has pre-packaged kits. And if you have 50 properties or more, everything is custom branded, the box and all the individual little items. And the reason I bring it up, that it's paid for within the cleaning fee. So that's being covered by the cleaning fee. It allowed us to do something way better than we were doing before. We get comments on it all the time. The branding is really, really good. And now it's an income source, so we can't be mad about that. And then the last part of it is maintenance upcharge. Having maintenance in-house is a big deal. You can always get something done less expensive with in-house maintenance than you would ever find a third-party vendor. Handymen and vendors can be quite expensive. So by having it in-house, we're actually able to get things done cheaper than we would be able to by hiring out. So the owner is getting a less expensive fix, and there's profit in there for us. So it's a big win-win having that. And also we're able to address things a lot faster than we would be able to doing third party all the time. I think that's it for my presentation.
Thank you so much, Mike. I think your story and your experiences are no doubt being faced or will be faced by many of the attendees today. I'm actually going to very quickly put you on the spot, Mike, because there's a couple of questions that I'm interested to hear your thought on that are in our Q&A. The first one is just, could you quickly confirm what that box company was? I think you mentioned
Yes,
Sojo.
Sojo, Sojo. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. That's just a quick question that just came in. And then one that I'm interested to understand. Laurie has asked kind of like, what do you charge for early check-in or late checkouts? But I just want to quickly expand that question to how did you come up with the pricing for these add-ons, these upsells? Because I think every customer I talk to gets there at some point to coming around to the idea of charging these guests for these types of things. How did you come up with a fee for that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's totally fine. It's a great question. We just talked internally on the team on what we felt we're comfortable charging. Honestly, we've been challenged, not by any renters or anyone, but we've been challenged by just other people we've talked to about increasing what we charge. We charge a $50 fee. So it's $50. And what we did to make it work for us operationally is we set rules behind it, or standards. So it's 2 hours early or 2 hours late for a $50 charge. And that makes it easier for us operationally to be able to to facilitate that without running into potential problems. That way, our cleaning staff, our maintenance, our inspectors, everyone knows if it's an early check-in, late checkout, exactly what time the late checkout will be. And we actually set up auto messages as well. So once we got proactive with it, we used to just do it on request. Then we got proactive and set up an auto message in Guesty at a certain time to, if you'd like early check-in, it's $50 for 2 hours. Click the link, and people just started clicking the link and paying for it left and right. And then it's very easy. Our operations team can just look to make sure if it's a same day check. Even on a same day turn, we can do it. We just can't do both a late checkout and an early check-in. But we found a way to make it systematic by setting those rules. And to go back real quick on your other question about Sojo, I'll mention they do have an integration with Guesty as well. So they see your reservation calendar. So they ship you exactly what you need for all of your checkouts next week all the time. So it's super low maintenance. It's on autopilot. We love it.
It's a great tip. Thanks, Mike.
I'm gonna jump on
that. Mike, I'll still back the screen. Sorry, Nathan, go on.
Oh, yeah. And I was gonna jump into a little bit on the check in, check out. I mean, $50 is $50, right? It's $50 more than you had before. So what we see a lot of our clients is they'll start small because any extra money is better than nothing to a degree. I mean, obviously, if there's a cost associated with the cleaners having to clean faster or whatever, then you have to take that into consideration. But we've seen a lot of our clients start small with, $50, $75, whatever that is. And then if they get no complaints over 6 months, they might even bump it up to 75, right? And then you kind of play that game. And then that again, where the financial statements come in is then you get to see how profitable, right, it is to kind of have that early check-in or that late checkout, or, and then you can increase it more or keep it as it is, depending on, I guess, how much money you're making or how much pushback, you kind of get from guests on the price of it. But I mean, Mike probably sees this all the time. I mean, I got a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old, and we did a road trip 2 weeks ago to Florida. And I mean, I would have paid $50, $75, $100, just to get in 2 hours earlier because it was closer to my son's nap time, so
Sure.
That's where, you got to think about it too, is if someone's paying $10,000 to stay at your home, $100 fee is going to be nothing, right? They're not even going to think twice about it. So that's kind of an interesting psychological side of it too, of we're already $10,000 in, so another $75, another $50, like no big deal.
Yeah, we see that all the time actually with people with kids wanting to get in for nap time. And I was going to mention something else, just fell out of my head. Oh yeah, pushback. We've been doing it a year. I can count on one hand how many times we've had a negative comment about it. I mean, that was our biggest hesitation. We thought like everyone would be kind of up in arms about it, and it's almost non-existent.
Makes sense. I think as well, just through experience talking to our customers from my side, some of our customers have tried like A/B testing it a bit. So they'll pick a few properties similar size. They'll pick a few like 1-bedroom apartments or a few beachside villas. They'll put maybe 50 on one, 25 on another, see what kind of reception they get and so on. And you can kind of go forward from there. Just very quickly before we move back to the presentation, Tony asked a question that I can actually answer. Yes, Guesty does have the option to set add-ons and upsells within the platform that then you can choose how to implement those and synchronize those as well. And you can do it individually as well. So you can have different fees set up for early check-ins, mid-stay cleans, late checkouts, things like this. And then that all synchronizes through to your accounting platform where you then decide, is this revenue all for the property manager? Is any revenue for the owner? Do we split, etc.? So yes, Tony, that's definitely possible. All right. Thank you so much, Mike, for that presentation. I'm excited to get to a couple more questions shortly as well, of course. There's a few that have come in that I think will feed off your presentation very nicely. So I know we kind of already kicked it off in a way here. So I'm very happy to unshare my screen and reintroduce Mike and Nathan for a few questions. Now, again, I know we're short on time. We've already got a lot of valuable insights from both Mike and Nathan. We had a question actually pre-submitted. I'm going to start with you, Mike, if that's okay. I see a lot of kind of quite specific questions about how you've done things or, various things that you've kind of gone through on your journey as a property manager. Um, so I'm going to start with a question that's how has your approach to financials and financial transparency with your owners evolved since you started Mike Z Rentals up until now?
A lot.
I can only
Um,
imagine.
yeah. So when we first started, so I actually get this question sometimes, and it's almost funny the answer. People asked about statements or what did you do for owner statements before Guesty, and the answer was we didn't do them. We just didn't have a way to do them at first. And to be honest, at first, we didn't get a lot of questions from owners about it. So we didn't think much of it. But as we continued to grow, we did get some owners ask about statements and they're like, oh, well, we don't have them. We'll put the money in your bank at the end of the month. And it's just funny that's looking back, that's how we used to operate. And then at some point we started, probably what a lot of you have done maybe along the path, started doing Excel statements by hand for each owner each month, which was a massive amount of work. But we were just trying to find something to appease the ones who would ask for it. And then, we were saved with Guesty Accounting. You guys have awesome statements. Our owners love them. They're super helpful for us in our business. And now that I have them, I just can't really imagine how we operated prior to this without having them.
That's a fair point. I think as well, hearing what you're saying echoes with a lot of the experiences that I've seen our customers have, like yourself. And I think as well from our side, what I hear a lot of is I guess the growing competitiveness in terms of different owners looking at property managers, who are they partnered with, and if someone can provide them a monthly professional looking statement that clearly defines the amount of money that they can expect at the end of that pay period, that goes above and beyond for that owner, and again talks to the relationship that you can build and maintain for that owner as well. So
Yeah,
that's
when I talk to owners, it's funny. One of the things that lights them up the most is the owner's portal and the statements. That resonates the most with them, it seems like.
Yeah, perfect. I guess they can then relax more knowing that you're doing your role, Mike, making them money and sending them money each month. Perfect. Thanks for that. Nathan, I'm going to turn to you. Another question from the audience here. I'm going to zoom out a bit. I know we've been quite technical and quite specific thus far in this session. Um, in terms of the financial management landscape, as it will, for vacation rentals, how would you say that's evolved in the past few years? And then what changes, if any, do you anticipate coming this year, perhaps?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, obviously property management companies have been around for, 15, 20 years, right? The mom and pops. Then Airbnb came around, Verbo came around, and it kind of changed the game. Um, and then, like I mentioned before, we had COVID, right? I think when COVID happened and everything shut down and all the guests, canceled reservations. I mean, credit card merchants were sending the money back like whether the person wanted to cancel or not, right? It was just like everyone shut down. I mean, what I saw was our clients shut down for 6 weeks and then they got some certain states got back in business. And then I think we saw the last 3, 4 years, like all of our clients were 20, 30% more profitable. I mean, they had more occupancy, they had more revenue than they ever have. And they were like on a high, right? They loved it. Now, I think in the last year, what a lot of people are seeing in 2024 is the occupancy has kind of gone back down to pre-COVID. And so it's super interesting because, what we saw was a lot of investors jump in, post-COVID because they saw how profitable it was.
Mhm.
And you had all these investors jump in, but not really know hospitality or the industry. And now they're really struggling because now as it's more competitive, right? There's more Airbnbs, more properties to manage. There's more property managers. Now it's how do you stand out versus others, right? And that's again where I'm sure Mike could talk about this all day. The difference of kind of maybe someone who's been in the industry for 15 years and the extras, the customer support, right? The hospitality side, like they can provide so much more than just like an investor who bought a property, threw it on Airbnb and said, okay, let the platform kind of work and to make us money. So What I would say is now as we go to 2025, I mean, politics, right? Inflation, all this stuff right now, everyone's freaking out and panicking about. I think people will always still travel, right? That's like their way to get out, get
Mhm.
away from it all is to travel. But I would expect the numbers to still be similar to kind of last year, right? I still think it's going to be lower. You're not going to see the same occupancy unless you have that really big, it factor that like kind of pulls people into your properties versus others in your area. But that's again where I'm going to bring up the financial statements because now you can't out earn your bad financial choices. Like you can't or you shouldn't, right? And so you might not be getting 10 new properties every 3 months like you were, 2 years ago. So now your margins are just a little bit tighter. And if you're not tracking those and you're not aware of those, or if you're looking at your financials every 6 months rather than every month, like you don't catch that until it's kind of too late. So I think 2025, I would anticipate it to be similar to last year. I just think it's more important to then at least have financial statements, know what your margins are, so that if, summer comes and it's worse than it was last year, like you guys as a property management company can still survive because you know your financials. You know your financials. If you're just going off on the limb of like, oh, occupancy is the same as last year, but you forget that you hired two more people, well, suddenly now, right, your expenses are higher than your income. So, yeah, I mean, traveling's not going anywhere. I think this industry will be around for a very, very long time. It's just very much more competitive. And then one final thing I'll talk about too, Mike talked about is the pricing tools. Like that's another thing, right? It's better to have someone stay at your house for $200 a night than $250 a night, right? So like your owners will be happier, you guys make money, they make money. So like let's utilize financial statements and some of these other tools to help you stand above, get people in your properties better than others.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. I think as well, like hearing you talk to the kind of smaller margins, or it's obviously geo-dependent, but smaller margins and increase in the cost of doing business. Um, Actually, to bring that back to you, Mike, just before we kind of finalize the presentations today, and actually, Hassan, one of our audience members, has asked a pretty interesting question that I'd like to pass to you, Mike. Um, People obviously aware that prices and costs are going up of every day doing business. So, question from Hassan: do you charge the owner things like water, utilities? Do you consider payment processing charges? Do you consider tech fees or tech charges to your owners? Is that something that you do? And then finally, his question finishes with: do you charge owners like an onboarding fee for bringing a new listing onto your portfolio? I know it's a big question, but like kind of all these small fees can all build up to be quite a lot of expense to your business.
Mhm.
So how do you try and approach that with your owners in terms of covering some of those off?
Yeah, I mean, so going back to the presentation, that's that slide of and how do we get it covered? Is it the owner, the guest, the owner, or us? And the answer is usually not us. It's we find ways. So the annual technology fee it's a paid up front at the time of a new listing. That gives us enough gas to get across the lake usually for the first year. It's kind of considering we're going to take photographs. We're going to have lock automation expense, things like that. The credit card processing fee, we actually split with the owners. So let's say we have an 80-20 split with the owner on commission. We would split the credit card processing fee the same way. So basically, we're charging our commission after the credit card processing fee. So we charge on the net reservation. It's a small compromise to make. It's not, and with Guesty Pay, it's a good rate. Um, but most of the time we have owners pay. So like the lock, the
Mhm.
owners buy the lock, they pay for it. There's a small up. We charge a little more than the lock cost because we're going to go out and install it for them, but it remains theirs. So if they decide to stop renting the property someday, the lock's theirs to keep. They control it. So it's not a we're not financing locks for 160 properties and that's on our dime. Pretty much we find ways to pass all of those fees along so that our property management fee stays what it is. And we do those things so we don't have to increase our property management fee, right? We don't want to do that because things do cost more. We've had vendors increase fees over the last couple of years, get more expensive. So we've changed our annual technology fee slightly, but if you didn't do that, then what would we be doing? Increasing our property management fee, and we don't really want to do that. So we find ways to get everything else covered.
Makes sense. Thank you, Mike, for that added detail. I think that's going to help a lot of our attendees today.
Awesome.
All right, we have literally 2 minutes. So as much as I'd love to get to these tens and tens of questions that are popping in, lots of them are for you, Mike, as well, based on like how you've set up all your fees and so on. Impossible to get it all through in time. I will just reshare my screen and kind of round off the presentation for today. If only we had more time. So thank you so much, of course, to Nathan and Mike for your insights there. Before I round off today's webinar, I, of course, must highlight Guesty's own exclusive industry event, Guestival. We're off to Mexico this year, Mexico City. If for any reason you don't yet know about our very own annual short-term rental event, it's more than a conference. Please at least hold your phone up and grab that QR code. Or if your phone's not on you, head over to guestival.com to learn more. We're going to be posting our agenda up there soon. It's very exciting. And places are limited. So if it's something that you want to look at doing, definitely secure a ticket for yourself.
Yeah, I'll mention I've been to 3 previous Guestivals, and I already have my tickets for this, and we're coming with 3 other staff members as well.
Fantastic, Mike. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So thank you everyone again for joining today. And a huge thank you again to Mike and Nathan for sharing those insights. For all the remaining questions, of course, we didn't get time to get to them all today. We will, of course, try our best to follow up with each and every one of you. We, of course, look forward to seeing you at the many upcoming virtual events that we have planned for the short-term rental community, be them in person or virtual like this one, all of which should be posted on our events page at guesty.com. And of course, please don't hesitate to reach out to events@guesty.com with any other questions that you might have about this webinar or others. So again, huge thank you. Good night. Have a good day and a good rest of your week, everyone. Thank you.